Coming up tonight, doctors and nurses walk off the job at PMH. Find out why. Meanwhile, businesses react to their 2-week lockdown closure, and 2 brothers charged with killing another family member.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight as COVID-19 continues to put a strain on the country's healthcare system. Dozens of doctors and nurses from Princess Margaret Hospital's Accident and Emergency Department say the situation at the facility is dire. They allege there is no space left to isolate suspected COVID-19 cases. Jasmine Brown reports.
Those doctors, nurses, and staffers here at the emergency room at the Princess Margaret Hospital insisted the situation here has reached a critical point as they say they've run out of time and space.
All of our isolation rooms are occupied. And as you know, with the COVID-19 case, they should be in negative pressure rooms, even under investigation until that can be ruled out. This is not a walkout, this is not a sick out. We want to help the Bahamian people, but we have to do it safely.
Bahamas Doctors Union President Dr. Millicent Bassett was one of 3 union leaders outside PMH's critical care block on Tuesday morning after more than a dozen A&E doctors, nurses, and staffers removed themselves from the facility, citing concerns over COVID-19.
The situation is at a boiling point, a tipping point. It has erupted, actually, and more needs to be done to correct it. Now, our staff is concerned and being compromised because we have those patients under investigation on the floor. So today, they have removed themselves because of the risk to themselves and their families if they contract COVID-19. Not only that, they are speaking for the patients who have been waiting without proper assessment because there is no place to assess them.
Their concerns came a day after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced in a national address that ICU beds were at capacity and non-critical beds were nearing capacity. With doctors already out of the system due to exposure, Dr. Bassett stressed the remaining doctors are concerned that they too could be compromised. Nurses Union President Amanda Williams says nurses share the same concerns as doctors. The BNU president said nurses in Grand Bahama have faced serious challenges with half a dozen testing positive and more than a dozen others placed in quarantine.
Believe me, Freeport has the same challenge in their A&E. Their forum is full of patients. They're triaging. They have beds in the A&E department. And it's overwhelming because there's a shortage of nurses in Freeport. Okay, you have the Department of Public Health nurses. They're doing their best. They leave Nassau, they went to Freeport to help out. All around, the nurses are trying to combat this. They went to Bimini. Okay, this is no joke.
Williams added that nurses are overworked and putting their lives at risk every day with no thanks. She also insisted the situation is exacerbated by the poor health insurance provided to staff. Our news team attempted to reach hospital officials for comment on doctors' and nurses' claims. However, they were not available for comment. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The country entering this 2-week lockdown with 36 new cases, bringing the total to 715. There are 21 new COVID-19 cases on New Providence, 10 on Grand Bahama, 3 new cases on Bimini, and 2 on the Berry Islands. There are 608 active cases and 22 hospitalizations. Grand Bahama has 330 cases, and New Providence is close behind with 312 coronavirus cases. Thanks, Jasmine. Well, the 2-week national lockdown begins tonight at 10. It prompted New Providence residents to flood grocery stores and water depots to stock up on essentials. Some shoppers say they have no intention of making multiple visits to stores during the lockdown. Berthley McDermott tells us more.
As grocery stores and water depots across the island see long lines once again before a national lockdown, residents we spoke to today lamented that idea, saying the Prime Minister just didn't give them enough time to prepare. There were long lines outside SuperValue's Cable Beach and Golden Gates locations today, but they were no match for the line at Chelsea's Water Depot on Abundant Life Road. In his national address on Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced a 2-week lockdown effective 10 p.m. The abrupt announcement isn't sitting well with some residents who crowded grocery stores and water depots.
As a business person myself, it's taken a toll, globally. But as we are now going into that mode again of the second phase, then give the people the time to prepare. That is fair for us.
Due to how everything is right now with the economy, I feel like giving people 2 days, 3 days notice, at least they could prepare and then start a lockdown fresh on Monday.
However, some consumers support the Prime Minister's decision, adding it's in the best interest of the country.
I think I expected it, especially because we as Bahamians have done a horrible job at wearing our masks and socially distancing. So I think it's something that is necessary. I know that we do not want to go on another 14-day lockdown, but if we don't adhere to the guidelines, we're going to be locking down for much longer than 14 days. Put on your mask, wear it properly, stay at home, no parties. It's as simple as that.
In a situation like this, you can't just say wait on a special time. You got to get at it right away if you want to cure a situation that is full of diseases and all that.
During the lockdown, food stores, water depots, and pharmacies will be allowed to open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On Saturday, essential workers can shop from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Minnis has come under fire for the new restrictions, with many suggesting that a lockdown is only a temporary fix, but not everyone agrees.
If you continue locking down, you realizing a lockdown ain't helping, then what's the purpose of it?
No one. Look at the USA, who we believe, who we follow, and all that. They don't have solutions. So how our little country, with our little prime minister, could I'm not PLP, or I'm not saying it for PLP or F&M. How we could find a solution.
Residents also shared their plans for the 2-week lockdown.
For 2 weeks, I don't want to be back at the grocery store because I can imagine what it's going to be like. And that's my take on it. It's going to be really, really crazy. The Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so I would prefer to get things to last me for 2 weeks.
So I don't like to be coming to the food store every week, and I did pick up a few things last week. So just little bread basket items.
Well, I trying to be sensible about it. I'm trying to get enough water to last my household, for that period of time.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. Challenging and scary is how some businesses describe the national lockdown and the possibility of a further lockdown in 2 weeks. Many of them said they were just getting back on their feet and are not able to cope with another closure. Julian Gray has that.
That announcement of a 2-week lockdown is not sitting well with business owners who say they've been struggling to bounce back after the first lockdown.
Last night, the Prime Minister said, yeah, I know we're all scared of COVID. I was like, honestly, I'm not scared of COVID. I'm really not. I'm scared of losing my house, losing our business, and living in my car. That's what I'm scared of.
As of 10 p.m. Tuesday, all businesses with the exception of food stores, water depots, and pharmacies will be closed for the next 2 weeks. Reuben's PR manager, Kellyanne Huber, said they'll have to tighten up the budget in order to make it through another lockdown. Huber said the first lockdown was challenging and scary. The store was just gaining momentum as most people began shopping at home. She said they are not eyeing layoffs but will make changes to survive.
It's really scary. It's emotional for a lot of us, especially a business like us. We've been around for a long time, and it would be a shame to see us go.
It's also a weary time for Pulpy owner Shaquille Colby, who said while they're hopeful that things will pick up after the lockdown, the reality is there are bills that need to be paid now.
We were very fortunate to receive lots of concessions from our landlord, for example, with rent, and our bank. But since the first lockdown, all of those concessions have expired. And so we're going into this new lockdown with the full brunt of our overhead on our backs without being able to generate any revenue for the next 2 weeks. And anyone that runs a small business knows that can handicap your business, that could put close you up.
Anna Mae Bryce, manager over at the Sports Center, also shared her optimism. Based on the first lockdown period, she said the store will not suffer.
Even when we had stopped the first time and started the curbside, it was excellent. All the equipment basically sold out because everybody into the gym and doing their own workout at home. So this has been really good with us in that area, in the equipment area and stuff like that. All our weights are sold out. We had a shipment come in and everything got sold out. So we are doing pretty good in that area.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Approximately 30 immigration officers have tested positive for COVID-19, according to Immigration Minister Ellsworth Johnson, who insisted COVID-19 is no joke.
We have immigration officers who have tested positive and who are now quarantined, and we know that COVID-19, I've experienced it. I've lost the system. So you're talking in terms of cost, you're talking with someone being dead. That's the ultimate cost that we're having to pay in this, when people are irresponsible. And so I want persons to take this very seriously.
With immigration officers among frontline workers, Johnson says the department has not been immune to COVID-19.
We got no less than 30.
So 30 been tested positive?
Listen, let me say this to you. You have frontline workers, you have police officers, you have nurses, your person. This thing is dangerous. I don't want to speak, just allow me, I'm not going to speak to the figures, but to the extent that you have to come out and put out these masks, right, and be about, your life is at risk. This is not a joke. And why I'm so impassioned, I was in shell shock when the most strongest of my father's children went down. This is no game, so we must listen to the medical experts who are themselves trying their best.
Liquor stores are lobbying for an assigned day to open during the lockdown. The Retailers Liquor Association president said if food stores can open 3 days a week, so should they. Jillian Gray has that as well.
President of the Retailers Liquor Association, George Robinson Jr., said liquor stores suffered during the last lockdown. He's advocating for assigned days for liquor stores.
You're giving the grocery store 3 days, the pharmacy 3 days. So if they could give the liquor store at least 2 days of the week, like Monday and Friday, it would be a help. Because people need the little booze, to be at home to keep them comfort, like the old folks say. So to deprive them of the little booze, I just think it's unfair.
Robinson also took issue with food stores that sell liquor, as he says that places liquor stores at an even greater disadvantage. Robinson owns Base Road Wholesale Bar and said business started to slow down and the little they were making was only enough to pay bills and staff. He said he may have to start laying off staff if the lockdown continues.
So with this 2 weeks lockdown, I hope it doesn't last longer than 2 weeks. Because the way things go now, if it go longer than 2 weeks, it's going to be I'm going to have to start laying off my staff and everything because I wouldn't be able to maintain them during this lockdown. I was able to do it during the last one, but anything longer than 2 weeks. So I'm asking the public to please adhere to the rules and let's try to get over this pandemic so we can move forward.
Down at Bon Vivant's owner Kyle Jones is also feeling the pinch from the lockdowns. Jones said he knows that all small businesses are hurting and it's rather deflating that after working so hard to get past the previous restrictions, the country is back to square one.
We really had to cut back a lot of our staff. We had to cut back a lot of, all the things we do. We're a bar and the main part of what we do is from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. for the most part. And that's where our most exciting time is. And the curfew has been shut down at 8. That was the maximum that we got. So just like everybody else, we're hurting.
Jones added that dealing with the pandemic has not been easy, and it has forced them to find new ways to sell their products.
One of the main things we did was have to-go bottled cocktails. In order for people to be able to drink them at home over the long weekends or, in the lockdown period, we have bottles now where you can take home and enjoy them in your own kind of time, and they hold 3 to 4 cocktails a bottle. And just finding new ways for the to-go kind of new norm, I guess. Just finding new ways to make it work.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
For a first look at weather heading into the 2-week lockdown, meteorologist Greg Thompson joins me in studio. Good night, Greg.
I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with our first look at weather. Current conditions outside our studios. Temperatures managing to get into the mid-80s. 84 is our current temperature. Partly cloudy skies. Southeast winds at 5 knots. Feels like temperature around 90 degrees. Satellite-wise, conditions around the islands. High pressure dominating our weather, bringing us a southeasterly flow across the central and southeastern islands. Moisture still associated with some showers across the top northwest of Bahamas. Extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, 2 brothers charged with murder. Stay tuned.
Journey TV presents the most open, honest, and revealing life stories. These stories of survival and strength will inspire you because there is freedom and healing in every story. Join me and my guest every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and Sunday at 5:30 p.m. during the month of August on RTV channel 212 for real-life conversations. Journey TV, we share life's truths.
Two brothers accused of the stabbing death of their uncle face murder charges in the magistrate's court today. George O'Bain was in court and filed this report.
Family members wept openly outside of court and shouted, "We got you," as officers of the Criminal Investigation Department brought 35-year-old Albert Mortimer, dressed in the blue hoodie, and 31-year-old Albrion Mortimer, dressed in the tan jacket, to the magistrate's court Tuesday afternoon to be charged with 1 count of murder. The brothers allegedly fatally stabbed their uncle, George Alexander Smith, last Thursday following a heated argument. On the night of July 30th, police were called to Lawson Street, Nassau Village, following reports of an altercation between family members, which resulted in 3 men being injured. One of those men, George Alexander Smith, succumbed to his injuries on the scene after being fatally stabbed. The other 2 men were taken to hospital for treatment. On the night the incident took place, family members on the scene said the altercation started over an argument about a house. The brothers were represented by attorney Kevon Maynard and were not required to enter a plea to the charge. They were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Addressing Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt on behalf of Albrion, Maynard requested that he be sent to the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center instead of the Department of Corrections, citing that his client has been under an enormous amount of stress and suffers from diminished mental abilities following the deaths of his brother and his mother. Ferguson Pratt denied that request due to a moratorium at the Rehabilitation Center, but requested that Albrion undergo a mental health evaluation upon admission to the Fox Hill Correctional Facility. Maynard requested for the evaluation to be complete before the brothers return to court on December 7th for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment, a request that Ferguson Pratt said should not be an issue. The brothers were consoled by family members and hugged them one more time before being taken out of court by police officers. Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Amid growing economic uncertainty, Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest says the Minister administration has not decided if there will be cuts in the public sector. He was asked about the future of public workers as the country heads into a 2-week lockdown.
So at the moment, we still have not made any decisions about the public service and any kind of adjustments there.
Turnquest added there are tough times ahead as he pointed out that the government continues to fund social assistance programs, with the government shelling out millions to keep those programs up and running and the COVID-19 pandemic continuing to rage. The DPM was asked about the government's ability to continue funding those programs.
We have always said that we've planned for an interim period of lower income revenue to the government. Up to now, we've been tracking pretty much where we projected, which is about 50% of our usual revenue for this period. Fortunately, this is the slow tourist period, and so we're not totally off our mark. The expenditure is elevated as a result of all of the social programs that we're trying to follow through, but the good news is, again, we budgeted for this.
When Our News comes back from the break, we chat with CBL CEO on the way forward in a COVID climate. Stay tuned.
from a suspected case to testing and isolation.
More than likely, this is a person who has been referred to the center. They come in, we assess them, they get admitted on the inside.
We have a series of steps where we use the centrifuge and we'll spin the specimen down.
So once it's resolved, there's no more passing on of the virus.
On the Record goes on the front lines in the COVID-19 fight this Thursday at 8 on RTV and streaming live on the Our News Bahamas Facebook page.
Welcome back. Joining me now in studio via Skype is CEO of Rev, Mr. Franklin Butler. Mr. Butler, how are you this evening?
I'm great, Jared. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
Fantastic. Can you just tell us what's the status of Alive stores and all, Rev product offerings now that we're in this 2-week lockdown?
Great. Well, Jared, I just want to say lockdown for us doesn't mean shutdown. All of our teams have been working virtually for most of the last 8 weeks or 12 weeks, whenever the first lockdown started. And so we're very pleased to tell you today that we will have all of our services available to all of our customers. However, we will be doing them a little differently. So yes, all of the Alive stores will remain closed as of tomorrow in compliance with the orders for the lockdown. However, all of our contact centers, as well as our customer support teams in relation to service and otherwise, will be providing support to all of our customers via Skype and other digital tools, including FaceTime. And so we're inviting our customers to go with us on this journey of digital transformation and to work with us so that, again, that we can have a safe COVID-free environment where we're able to troubleshoot any issues. We understand the importance of connectivity to the general populace. And so we want to do all we can to ensure that all of our customers remain connected during the lockdown period.
And of course, lockdown means you can't come out your house. So what message do you have for customers about online payment options?
Great. So in terms of online payment options, a couple of things, Jared. All the supermarkets now have these payment kiosks that are Alive and Rev enabled. So you're able to make payments on these kiosks. I think they're both in Super Value and in all of the Solomon's and Cost-Right stores. So when you're doing that and you need to pay your bills, please use it as an opportunity to go to those kiosks and to make payments. Secondly, if you're an Alive subscriber, you have the benefit of being able to buy plans and doing all the things that you need to do from a bill payment perspective on the Alive app. And in addition to that, from the first lockdown, Jared, we were able to incorporate Rev Bill Pay into the Alive app as well. And if all else fails, we have our contact centers where you can make your payments via credit card directly into the IVR. So you don't even have to speak to an agent. You don't have to wait in the long queues. If you have your account number, you can dial into our contact center, Jared, and you'll be able to make payments directly on the IVR. And thirdly, in the absence of any of those things, of course, there are the local banks that have their mobile apps and online banking platforms if we're fully enabled to. So we've embraced this full digital transformation, Jared, and we're excited about being able to offer many ways of payments for our customers.
Mr. Franklin Butler, CEO of Rev, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jared. And thanks to all of our teams here at Cable who continue to serve our customers.
Still to come, uncertainty lingers over national exams. And later, the extended weather forecast with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Stay tuned.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
A new date for the 2020 national exams is still up in the air, according to Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd, who discussed the postponed exams outside Cabinet.
We had postponed the national exams. Will those exams resume? We are not able at this time to say so. We are considering that because, as you know, this lockdown ends, according to the Prime Minister, on the 18th, that is 2 weeks, of August. If that, and he also said that there's likely, if conditions require, that it will probably be extended. So we will have to wait and see whether we will be able to resume those national exams, and if we do, what form that will take, whether we will do all exams or whether we will suspend the BJC and have it next year or only do the BGCSE. We are not able to say at this time.
The Education Minister's comments come more than 2 weeks after the Ministry of Education announced a temporary suspension of all national examinations, effective immediately and until further notice. At the time, ministry officials said the decision was made to protect the integrity of the BJC and BGCSE exams and ensure the safety of all concerned. The cancellation also came as COVID-19 cases began to soar across the country. That'll do it for this portion of the news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast. Greg?
I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather. Satellite-wise, we take a look at the Bahamas, chain of islands, high pressure dominating our weather to the south and central Bahamas, but we still have this moisture plume across the northwest Bahamas, generating some showers and thunderstorms, all associated with the tropical storm Isaias, which is well to the north. Boating forecast for tonight for the northwest and central Bahamas. Southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, while in the southeast Bahamas, east to southeasterly flow 15 knots, seas running 3 to 5 feet. Here's a look now at your national forecast. And now a look at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. Make it a great night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.